Like cricket as a global game, Afghanistan's probably the best story in the last 10, 15 years easily.
But I think Rashid Khan, he is, in my opinion, the GOAT bowler in T20 cricket.
A lot of the guys we're talking about, all basically 25 or under. When you talk about the future of Afghanistan cricket, it's crazy.
But I love their spin bowling culture. We've got an opener in Mujib, a death bowler in Rashid. They could literally have a full attack of just spin. Hello and welcome back to the Brown Playbook. Today we're looking at the story of Afghan cricket, which I'm very excited for, and delving into how they went from refugee camps with interesting cricket to World Cup qualified and full playing nations in just a decade. For a bit of context, Shams, start us off.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, man. I'm proper looking forward to it too. Well, the thing is, even just researching it is really exciting. So found out that in 1839, that's when like cricket was first played in Afghanistan, like on the land, and that was when the British troops were there for the Anglo-Afghan War. And then most recently, which kind of kicked it off, was when obviously the Soviets invaded in 1979. And a lot of refugees from Afghanistan then went to Pakistan and obviously started playing cricket there. And then obviously when they came back, when the Soviets left, that's when cricket took over and kind of really got going when they started playing in refugee camps. But obviously fast forward to now, like there's so many players playing in the IPL, more and more each year. They've obviously 2024 got to the semi-finals of the World Cup, so I can't wait to get into it.
That's a mad stat, and we'll get into all like each different section of it because there's so much to cover. But I want to start with, why does it matter in the first place? Like obviously me and you being cricket fans and just, you know, sports fans in general, we love a sports story, but to like the average person, I really think this is an important story for more people to know about. Not even just cricket fans, just people who care about the power of sports in general. But what's your take? Why do you think it matters so much?
Oh, I think it's so important, man. I think for my first point is like cricket as a global game, Afghanistan's probably the best story in the last 10, 15 years easily. Especially
even arguably.
Yeah, especially when cricket's going in, like, for example, other nations like West Indies, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, when we were growing up and watching them, like, especially West Indies and Sri Lanka just had like superstar teams, and Bangladesh like used to be India on the odd occasion. They had the odd upset where they used to be a big team, and they weren't bad. They had good players as well. Shout out Tamim Iqbal, Shakib, of course.
The legends there. We'll do one for them.
But obviously they've gone downhill now. So it's so good that as a global game, I think obviously cricket's just dominated by the big three: Australia, England, India. To have Afghanistan as like an underdog to now beating these teams, well, beat Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and England in the ODI World Cup, or the T20 World Cup. So I think that's key just for cricket to have new faces, new players, and new nations coming up and challenging like the best nations is always exciting, right? Because it's more upset, it's more drama, it's more entertainment, especially when a couple other nations have kind of fallen off. I think secondly, the main thing is from an Afghanistan point of view, it's just like war-torn country, refugees, literally cricket practice and then having to take cover because of bombs taken off.
Can't even imagine.
Like they've had the most valid excuses to give up as it is. But like I think,
but it's still shone through, right? Passion for the game still carried so many players to play it enough to be able to compete with all these countries that have unbelievable infrastructure. So I think the story, so my take on, obviously completely agree with everything you said from a cricket perspective, but from a news perspective, for Afghans, like for 20, 30 years or whatever, any news that comes out of their country is just, you know, negative. We're not going to get into the politics of that, you know, as if we're smart enough to do so anyway. But,
speak for yourself.
But from like, you know, I can imagine, you know, you recently met my Afghan flatmate. He's not a big cricket fan, but you know, when I tell him a couple of tidbits like this, he'd just be quite happy to hear that there's a positive story, like that there's a player that I'm looking up to that's Afghan, even though he's not a big cricket fan. That's such a nice story for him, for his country. And I think they needed that, really. If any country needed it, they needed this kind of story where some of their players like break through the kinds of lives most people did live at the time, you know?
Well, that's like the power of sport that basically you're alluding to, right? Like the sense of community, like even just playing cricket in refugee camps, coming together, playing, enjoying it. In such a tough time, cricket can give you like peace, enjoyment, when obviously life conditions are so hard, whether it's like food, shelter. anything of those sorts, and then on top of that is then actually getting a national team and doing well brings the nation a sense of pride, right?
100%.
People now know Afghanistan for being good at cricket,
100%.
not just being a war-torn country, right?
Correct.
And then you've got that younger generation that's growing up that are now seeing like role models, wanting to be a cricketer and that being their dream. And that's the most important, right? Having something to look up to that you want to dream about and you want to work towards is probably their parents, not their fault at all, due to being in a war-torn country. They just had to survive. Therefore, maybe their kids didn't really have the luxury or the awareness, or they couldn't see anything that maybe they wanted to do because it was just all about surviving. Now they can. They can see Rashid Khan playing in the IPL, Mohammad Nabi living in nice places in the UAE, and maybe wanting to aspire to do that and help their family out, right? It's so sick, man.
And also, like you said, their national team's doing really well, but also cricket's become so big in such a short space of time in the country that they've got their own franchise league now. I know every country's trying to have it, but Afghanistan, the fact that they can host that, to be honest, I don't know the political context now, but it's not been particularly rosy. So the fact that that's happening must be such a nice release for people there as well. Like that they can go to a top class game. You know, they were able to attract a lot of foreign talent as well for that as well. So it wasn't just domestic as well. It's one of the tournaments in the roster, even if it's not like the top priority for everyone. You'll still get some class players from all over the world. So I think it's overall a good thing. Let's get into some of the players that have made that happen.
Go on, mate.
The front runner, the pioneer in this, in my opinion. I know he's still a younger one, and there'll be people from previous generations as well. But I think Rashid Khan, he is the face and the star, the hero of Afghan cricket, in my opinion. To the point where, and we can get into this now or later, but he is, in my opinion, in with a very good shout to be the GOAT bowler in T20 cricket overall. The greatest of all time. He's genuine with a shout. Some competitors immediately come through with Bumrah, Malinga, and I think what holds Rashid back is the only thing. And I like starting with it because then we can go into all the things that are going for him. What holds him back is that Afghanistan play a lot more qualifiers. They play against a lot more nations that aren't top level. So his international career looks a little bit skewed. His records are really good in the international scene, and people say, well, for good reason. Look at the people, look at the countries he plays regularly. But on the other hand, in my opinion, he has performed way too consistently across the world in franchise teams. That's what T20, in my opinion, is about. I know the World Cup.
He's getting the biggest players out in franchise cricket. So it's not like he's not playing them and his stats are still sick. He's still playing them, still getting them out.
And to be honest, someone might hear that now, someone who's just sort of got maybe a bit of recency bias. His last couple IPLs haven't been to the standard of what he's known for. I think he's won a couple orange caps, which is top wicket taker in IPL, obviously. And he's achieved that, always has a low economy rate, except again for the last one or two IPLs. But you've got to look at the full context. Every bowler in with a shout of being the GOAT had a dip in form. Even a couple years, latter stages of Malinga's career when he didn't have that blistering pace to get Yorkers in. People would say the same thing, but in my opinion, he broke in when he was so young and he dominated to the point where it took so long for people like Virat Kohli to even figure
him out.
No,
but I think it's that, bro. But when you say dip in form, you've got to remember he's coming at such a young age.
Yeah.
And the reason why people call it a dip in form in the last couple of IPLs is because the expectations gone up so much.
Yeah.
So you've got to take that into account as well. Being 17 and being fearless and coming in, I just can't imagine facing a 62 to 65 mile per hour spinner.
Leg spinner, yeah. That's opening bowlers in my game.
Do you know what the most satisfying clips are? Yeah. You know who the most satisfying clips are? I was watching some today. You know when he just bowls a googly and it just goes through the gate and it just takes the stump out? Or even it just rocks the stumps and the stumps are lighting up in franchise cricket. It's just some...
his celebration's iconic as well, isn't it? He's got aura about him as well. And let's not forget, right, compared to most other bowlers that would be in with a shout, he's a gun lower order bat for T20 cricket.
Yeah.
He can smack it. Not graceful at all, right? I'm talking he looks like he's batting with a shovel at times.
Yeah, a couple tennis
But he gets them away. It doesn't matter if it's in rosette, does it? So I like that he can turn up with just an innings of 30 of 10 balls or something. And he's done it enough times that I've seen it, and I've not even been watching IPL as much as I should have been recently. So I think he can always contribute, and he's also a gun fielder. So I think
safe hands.
He's top line bowler and contributes with everything else. I don't think there's been another player like that as a bowler. You can say there's people that have like, full on all rounders, but very few of them dominate batsmen when they're bowling the way he does. So I think he really is with a chance of being, in my opinion, he is. In my opinion, he really is the GOAT of T20 cricket. It will take a lot to get up to the wickets that he's got because he started so young for anyone coming through. So we'll see.
No, I do agree, but it's just everything. The pace he's bowling at, the variations.
The control, bro. The control
and even just restricting runs. Like, T20 is such a batsman game. We talk about like the entertainment, the clips, the IPL, like shorter boundaries, bigger bats. Like, it seems, and obviously, like, this is not fact, but the narrative is it always goes more in favour of the batsman, right?
And to an extent, that's true.
To an extent, but then... Bro, just like, I don't know, the top spinners, the flippers, like the googlies are just, it's so good to watch. And you see such top batsmen still find it so hard to work out with the way maybe he disguises a variation or something, or that it's going so fast that you can't be as quick to react to it.
And last thing on him, in my opinion, right? So Shane Warne, when he was like, every time he'd come to England, he'd have like a new mystery delivery and whatever. And like, he'll bowl it a couple times. In Test cricket, you get a couple of variations that go really well and they make it into your highlight reels. Rashid Khan was implementing all these variations multiple times regularly. And he's been doing that for a decade. So I think that's also a level of control that even Shane Warne, RIP. But when he was about, he loved Rashid Khan for that reason. And there's very few people whose opinion I take on board more than Wardy's when it comes to cricket, and definitely leg spin. So for that reason, that's my argument for go. But there's definitely other players as well. Like I remember in 2019 going to see that India versus Afghanistan game. Their overall campaign wasn't great. But the one time where all the pieces did nearly align were against India. Where even though that was the World Cup where Rohit Sharma got like 500 and they stopped him in his tracks. And they were unable to chase down a very low total, and with the Shami hat trick. I remember Mohammad Nabi was like, it was basically a man of the match performance from him, bowling and batting. So he's been a stalwart as well.
Well, he's like a shout because he's like the 100%. Godfather. If like Rashid Khan is like the main one, like Mohammad Nabi's like 40 odd now, ex-captain. First Afghan to play in the IPL, 2017 for Sunrisers. So he's like the first one to prove, like, okay, at least look at Afghanistan. 100%. Like, I'm a talent out of it, and I'm like proving I can play at the biggest franchises and biggest
and longevity for him. The fact that he was so much older than Rashid, which I think Rashid and him were, I think, both in 2017 for Sunrisers. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So they like he was probably the first, but then Rashid at the same time, he was in the same campaign, but he was a lot older, and he's still about. So like that's a testament to like what a professional he is, because he came into it when, potentially if you look at like a late 20s person starting in the IPL, you might think, I don't know, like 3 or 4 year career before the next big thing comes in, and he probably gets moved on. He stayed for a while and he performed consistently. And he's so reliable with these offies and like a gun bat as well.
Finisher. And also Rashid, like one stat I saw now, and I didn't know this. Bro, he's on a 15 crore contract with Gujarat Titans. The only people above him are basically Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And maybe Bumrah. But basically the really Indian stars. He's right there.
100%. Yeah. No, if valuation's something to go by, there's no one more, because the reason he's not more than them as well. Because a gun bowler is actually arguably worth more than a gun batter in T20, because there's more supply of bats.
For sure.
Who can hit at 120, 130 strike rate compared to someone who can bowl under 7 runs per over. So he would be worth more if he was Indian, but because he's foreign, obviously, because there's less spaces in a team, your price inevitably doesn't go quite as high as the main Indians. And I think that probably never will, unless I'm missing a particular stat, but as a general rule of thumb, I think that's the case. Sure. But there's others as well. So like, the people that I remember,
Gulbadin,
I think his surname's Nair, Gulbadin Nair. Really wham guy. He sticks in my head at every every ICC event that Afghanistan play, and their opening bowler. And obviously can smack it as well. Their new Chinaman bowler, Noor Ahmad. People are saying, again, recency bias, that he's better than Rashid, which his performances have been better recently. which is because Rashid's had a bit of a dip, just particularly in IPL. But, you know, the fact that he's even in that conversation and he's very young as well.
Once again, they're 20. That's another great point. Yeah. That a lot of the guys we're talking about, bar from Nabi, are all basically 25 or under. So when you talk about the future of Afghanistan cricket as well, which we'll get onto, it's like, well, these guys are all just in their 20s. They've all got another 10 years ahead of them, touch wood, if they stay fit. So it's crazy. But yeah, Noor, once again, like, let's just talk about their spin since you brought it up. They've got Nabi, touched on, Rashid Khan, which we've just talked about as well, Noor, Mujeeb,
yeah. He's been about for time as well.
He's been about for time. I think he's only still mid-20s though, because I saw something like he made his debut when he was like 17. And correct me if I'm wrong, he took a fifer somewhere. If it was on his IPL debut, of his national debut, international debut. Sorry.
I don't remember. I don't know that particular stat, but I also, if we're looking at his accolades, he kind of pioneered leg spinners opening the bowling.
No, he's an offie as well. He's an offie, right?
What, Mujeeb?
Mujeeb's an offie, I thought.
No, brother. Mujeeb's a leggy. He's a flat leggy. Unless he's changed, to be honest, he's quite a flat. Exactly. They're all mystery. But this again might be because I've not seen him recently. But like for the first 3 years, he was definitely a flat leggy.
Because I thought he was.
But he doesn't spin it much, so it doesn't really matter.
I thought he was a flat leggy until I looked it up. Then I saw he was an offie.
Does it say he's an offie? Yeah, he's just got the wiki confused, didn't it? No, he definitely started as a leggy.
Shout out to the bars. We can keep a batsman. We got to shout him out because he's dealing with mystery bowlers left, right, and centre.
Yeah. Honestly, bro.
But let's talk about their batting because their opening pair right now are super young.
Yeah. I'm not super clued in, to be fair. No, you can tell me like what you've seen.
No, well, I think who caught my eye was Ibrahim Zadran.
Yeah. I've seen highlight reels, clips, really.
Yeah, I've seen. No, I just found that they're all quite gun ho, as we've mentioned. Nabi finisher, Rashid Khan finisher. What's the one guy called again?
Gulbadin.
Yeah, finisher as well. Can really hit the ball. The one thing about Ibrahim was he's just like more of an anchor. Like he's just so like he's the opening batsman. I think Rahmatullah Gurbaz is the other one, and he's like pretty gun ho as well. But obviously a lot less of like a finisher, like a great opening batsman who really brings really takes the attack to the bowlers, right? The quicks, but. Ibrahim is a lot more like an anchor. He'll stay in, and which is a great pairing, right? Because one's allowed to kind of go for it from the start, and the other one is going to be a bit more reliable.
There's another one, so a bit of an old school one. So someone who must have come up before this massive spike in interest. Rahmat Shah. So he was like a consistent number 3 or 4 across formats for Afghanistan. He he didn't compare obviously to other number 3 and 4s in the international scene because that's where the best batsmen play in every nation. Of course. But he held it down. So whilst you're saying all the others were like super exciting, gung ho as you say, right?
Yeah.
He was like that stability, averaging 30 odd, always just if there's early wickets, he'll get you through. If there's a bit of a start, he'll just add the amount of runs he needs with a bit of stability. So he was like, I think he might have even been their captain for a while. But yeah, he's an old school name. I wonder if anyone will remember that. But shout out to him.
My one was Azhar Afghan. I just remember because his surname was Afghan and he was the captain.
Of course, yeah. No, I only saw him at ICC tournaments. Literally, he's like that Mexico goalkeeper Ochoa in the football world. Like he just turns up there. But again, the fact that he was in the team for must have been over 6 years given the amount of ICC tournaments I saw him at. So very solid names. And I think if we look into their performances in ICC tournaments while we're on that, correct me if I'm wrong, but they started in around 2010. No super notable performances, but the fact they started qualifying was really big given that they
played in the 2011 tournament.
There you go.
I think they lost all of them, or I remember. It's either 2011 or 2015. They got their first win in an ICC tournament against Scotland, I think. Yeah. But where they really came into it was 2015 onwards. These last 10 years, basically.
Correct.
I think they had a couple of odd qualifications, as in the odd time they qualified a bit before that. Yeah. But 2010 was where they became affiliate associate. It goes affiliate
and then a full member in 2017 where they started playing a couple tests as well.
Yeah, that's when they basically qualified.
That's obviously a long shot, but the fact that they got to that level is the impressive part. Right,
but test is even a long shot for established.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly why it's that much more of an achievement that they even made it to be good enough to play at that level is crazy. But I think all their ICC tournaments were even in recent times, there's a couple of upsets, but nothing major. until the most recent ODI World Cup, which is like their standout achievement in cricket as a nation, where they got to the semi-final. In that tournament, they beat Pakistan, Netherlands, I think, Sri Lanka, like obviously apart from Netherlands, big names, right? And they got into the semi-final against Australia, where they played really well, and they were just on the wrong end of Glenn Maxwell. Class, right? Yeah, like nothing you can do on that. Like he scored a double 100, I think. Whatever, like he's just one of those players that like just takes the game away from you against anyone in the world if he plays to his full potential.
But that
happened to him. So
that was like talk about taking the game away from you. I remember they were like 73 or 70 odd for 5.
Yeah.
And he's ended up scoring a double 100. And I still remember, even once he had hit like a century, the win predictor was still like 54% Afghanistan. Like he took it away from them.
I was already celebrating. I was like, because Afghanistan have struggled against India because I don't know why, but all their upsets, not many of, I don't think if any, have come up against India. So when they were going to potentially play India in the final, I was like, oh, it's coming home. But yeah, like Maxwell proved me wrong. And then, like the rest is history. Obviously, India lost that in the final, but like going back to Afghanistan, the fact that they were there, they had like a couple fingers in the final, like they were on the verge, and they just let it slip. No one was able to get him. But again, the fact that they got there is the achievement. That's not a long time to go from refugee camp cricket to top level international cricket. Losing to Australia is there's no shame in that. Literally everyone has done it. So
we've got to shout out the BCCI on this, obviously, because they gave I think 3 or 4 stadiums to Afghanistan to play.
Yeah. No, they BCCI get a lot of flack, but this is one of those stories where they have helped. And Indian investment.
And even though Bangladesh and Pakistan have also helped. So we've got to shout all the people out of that.
Yeah, it seems like, it's been a unifying force across cricket rather than just in the nation. Like everyone's enjoyed this. I don't know anyone who looks at Afghan cricket and goes, "Oh, I don't like seeing that." It's just a great come up story. And Indian owners, whilst they don't have the franchises owned the way they do in South Africa and stuff, I think they set up they consult them basically and invest in them as well. So there is money going to it from the BCCI. Clearly, there's pathways being created into the IPL. There's loads of people that are coming through, and as a whole, there's always an aura of excitement whenever a new Afghan prospect comes up, So I think it's definitely been a good example of how, despite the direction cricket's gone into, where the argument is normally more power in less hands, this is an example of how it's branched out further into the global game and in growing the game. I think it's the prime and probably only example of where that's really happened outside of, if you want to count like the US playing in the World Cup or something like that. But I think it's just amazing that they're here. I'm glad they're here, and I just enjoy watching them play, really.
Do you think you could survive an over from Rashid Khan?
Yeah, maybe.
An over.
Mate, I mean,
let's restrict it, because obviously it's
go on.
Ex-state level cricketer, state trials level cricketer in India. Now I've got to give him a bit of context.
Same.
Obviously against a pro. What about if he was just bowling leggies?
No, you have to be. He can bowl what he wants. I reckon, if he bowls 4 overs, I survive a couple.
You think a couple? I think one would be great.
Yeah, but the thing is, surviving is different.
65 and spin.
I know, I understand, but the thing is, look, I can see and face 65. It's the guessing which way the spin goes, which I back myself on, but it's surviving. If you tell me then you've got a score off, done.
Fair.
That's where it goes. If you're telling me like you're playing a test match, you've got to survive a few overs from him, it would be incredibly difficult, but I've got to back myself that I could find a way. You've got strong defense as the foundation, but scoring, absolutely not. If you told me that I've got to score, I don't know, 3 runs off his over, lost cause, because surviving, you just get in the bat in the way, soft hands, it touches, goes down, you hope you don't edge it. But I don't know. What about you? Do you reckon you could?
I'm done out second ball, bro. I'm a bowling
one googly and that's it.
That's
the thing. To be fair, my strength is against spin. To be fair,
that's why I asked you.
So it's I reckon I could see it out the hand a bit bit better than most.
Yeah.
So that's why I'll have an indication of which way he's going. If he's pitching it way outside off, like getting the leg in the way, I'll find a way. I'll scrape it.
My other question is, let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
How do you think they'll be in the future? So obviously 2023 they got to a semi-final of an ODI.
Yeah.
Obviously their T20 and ODI is where it's at. Do you see them winning a World Cup in the next 5 to 10 years?
If anything, I think it will be a T20 World Cup because there's more unpredictable factors there and all their players are geared for the T20 game because their pathway really for major success is franchise cricket.
Yeah.
So they're all T20 products, really.
Yeah.
So I think the ODI World Cup that they got so far in was a bit of an anomaly.
But a lot
I think
of them
it'll be
translate
harder.
well though from T20
They
to
do, they do.
ODI.
But I think
not as much.
I think the difference is ODI cricket's going more in the direction of T20 where people are just smacking it most of the time.
Yeah.
So in terms of skill set, yes. But I think it's lack of experience. Like they got to that semi-final, but for some reason, again, it was a freak event that Maxwell did what he did. But it meant that if that was in a T20 and they were that far ahead halfway through the game,
they're gonna win.
Like it's way more like
to make that big
exactly.
of a Yeah, true.
And that's probably a downfall that they weren't able to finish the job over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Whereas in T20, they're more likely to. So I think genuinely they've got a chance in the next 10 years. Like because their pipeline's strong, their pathways are strong, and there's no one sort of opposing it.
Which is key.
So
because
of course
you get sometimes just like a golden generation, and then like the money is just put to them, like the big sponsors, the big salaries, and you're not really getting the pathway sorted. So the fact they're doing decently in like under 19 cricket, well, half of them make their debuts for the first team when they're like the proper national team when they're all like 17. Like
so,
Rashid
to be
Khan,
honest, I think that's to their advantage though, because in really competitive cricket setups, like for example, look at England, right? This new talent, Jacob Bethel, right? He's 21. He's considered like really, really young. And he is for English standards, of course.
Yeah.
All the Afghans, the top level ones, they get in definitely before 20.
Yeah.
Most of them now. And it's because, for Jacob can go into the England setup and expect to make a good career, whereas the Afghans need that contract. Need that franchise contract to make a career. So they just jump into professional cricket. So if anything,
that's true.
The fact that they dive in probably means that they learn that handling of pressure earlier because they're just straight into full crowds at the IPL, which is what people in traditional cricket setups wait until they're quite experienced to get on top of.
Yeah.
So I think that gives them an advantage, to be honest. The fact that they come out so young, I think that's a really big positive that they have.
Nah, for sure. I completely agree.
But I love their spin bowling culture. Like, to be honest, they've kind of brought it back to an extent because there was a time where, like in T20, it was all about the pacers, all the really sort of loopy spinners who get you wickets in middle overs.
Yeah.
These guys are like, we can bowl spin at any point of the innings. We've got an opener in Mujib. We've got a middle overs bowler or a death bowler in Rashid, and all the rest can bowl in between. Like they could literally have a full attack of just spin, which is mad impressive. Like that's something that we can do an episode in itself. I could talk about that all day. The fact that there's so many different types of spinners coming out of it and they're all translating into results in T20 is mad. But yeah.
Bro, the fact that Mujib can bowl with the new ball.
That's
like
crazy.
Bro.
That's crazy, yeah. And think about his journey. Like, he wouldn't have been like 13, 14, 15 playing against top level people. He's just honed his skill, went into the IPL and just like held his own from there. Like, that's just crazy. And opened the bowling. Mental. But all of their stories are going to be crazy, to be honest. I'd love to have some of them on. Like, I'd love to hear their particular stories as an individual. I think there must be out there, but we learn by speaking to them. So.
Guys, on that note, subscribe so one day we can have that opportunity.
Yeah, and if you know any of them, get them involved.
If you're their cousin.
That's how we're getting all our guests nowadays. But yeah, no, thanks for watching, guys. This was one that I was really looking forward to, and I hope we've done it justice. Have a good one.
Cheers,
like and
guys.
subscribe. Cheers.